Welcome, everybody, to Tino's Time. And on this very special episode, me and my boy Cory from All Sports Now are going to give you all of the picks for week 11 in a crazy week that should be in the NFL. We've seen it happen throughout the whole entire season. This whole season has been wild. Welcome, Cory, to Tino's Time. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me, man. Super pumped to be on here. And yeah, you're right. It's been a crazy year to say the least.
I mean, between the injuries, between the big stars that have went down, Derrick Henry, the guys that have been out for that have been named out for the season. The Bears today lost Dathan and Khalil Mack. That's not good at all for the Bears defense if we have any shot at making the playoffs. And it's awful, man. I cannot even believe it. And speaking of crazy, do you want to get into that? The first game that I want to talk about is the game that happened last night between the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons. And the last time we saw those two meet up, it was the Super Bowl. And do you remember what happened in that Super Bowl? Because I do. But I don't think Atlanta Falcons fans want us to talk about it very much. They mentioned it a lot last night during the game, and they were like, sorry, Falcons fans. But after that 28-3 blowout that they blew versus the Patriots a few years in that Super Bowl, that was awful. And last night was not much better. The New England Patriots just destroyed them in every aspect. Matt Ryan couldn't get going. Cordell Patterson was out for the game, and the run game didn't get going. And in fantasy purposes, hopefully you didn't start Wayne Gallman or Mike.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Wayne got -3. I saw this morning. I didn't even know he played. I thought he got 0. And then Mike Davis, I think he got like 5.9. That was not good at all. How did you feel about that game? And what was your perspective? And how do you feel with the New England side? Because I just mentioned the Falcons. How do you feel about the New England side and everything that they did with fantasy and the NFL in general?
Yeah. Good question. So with the New England side, New England is tough with fantasy. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson was a good start last week if people were interested in that, but they've got that revolving door at running back. It's hard to trust. Now, New England's defense, I took them this week because I'm thinking Atlanta has had so many issues this year. Calvin Ridley's out with his issues now. Cordero Patterson's out.
That's right. I always forget about Calvin Ridley. Hopefully,
yeah. I mean, they've had a good offense this year, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go with New England's defense because they've been one of the best in the league, and Atlanta's been struggling. And that was the move, I guess. That was the best fantasy pick of the night. So
they didn't give up any points. How many interceptions did you say?
4.
They had 4, and then didn't they have a pick 6 or they had 2?
Yeah, they had a pick 6 as well.
Did they? I forgot if they got 2 at one point. I don't know. I was facing my friend in one of my leagues. My friend was facing me, and he had the Patriots defense. He got 26 points, like you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But in one of my other leagues, my uncle's league, the scoring is different, and I didn't even realize it. The New England Patriots defense got 45 points. For a defense in fantasy football to get 45 points, and for that that's crazy. That game was just not even I don't know, these Thursday night games. I don't know how you feel about these Thursday night games, but I feel like ever since the last few years, it just has not been the same that, it used to be. They just don't put the good games on,
Yeah, lots of mismatches.
Yeah, it's a lot of I mean, I would love to see maybe like the Colts and Bills would have been a great Thursday night game or something like that. That I just feel like would have been a great game. And we have at least now that Thursday is over, we can look forward to Sunday and look forward to all the games that are going on Sunday. So do you want to start that and get into all those now that we got over the new Thursday night game?
Yeah, let's get to the good ones.
The first one I want to talk about, and maybe I'm being biased right now, but I want to talk about the Ravens and the Chicago Bears first, because, this is a game that I feel like people are saying that Lamar and the Ravens are going to come out and gangbuster and they're just going to beat the crap out of the Bears. And yeah, the Bears just lost Danny Trevathan and Khalil Mack and everything. But I mean, the way Fields looked before their bye and the way that he brought the Bears back that last touchdown versus the Steelers, I thought was great progress. And I think the bye week is definitely going to help. I mean, how do you feel about just this game in general? Do you think the Bears have any shot versus Lamar?
So I am taking the Ravens in this game, but I don't want to take the Bears out of it because Fields has gotten better every single week. He won the game against the Steelers, and the refs decided to do otherwise with that hip check, taunting call. But Fields will have a good game, and this is going to be a good tester game because Baltimore is one of the better rushing and passing defenses out there. I think Fields will be able to run around, get outside of the pocket, get comfortable. The running game is what I'm concerned about because that's what the Bears are built on, whether it's Khalil Herbert or I know that we have Monty back now out of the backfield. I think we're just going to have a tough time getting going, and Lamar's too electric that we won't be able to stop him. But I do think we're going to put up some points. I don't think we're going to put up 10, 13 like we usually do. I expect to see more of what we've seen the last couple of weeks against what we saw with Pittsburgh last week.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing where it's like, I don't think I'm taking the Ravens too. I don't, as much as I love my Chicago Bears, I realize that I can't always take my hometown team all the time. I can't be biased. So I'm going to take the Ravens too to win. I think that they need to give the Bears a shot, and it might come down to a Justin Tucker field goal. And he's so consistent that might exactly what happened. And, he's so good. And didn't he hit I think it was a 61-yarder earlier this season? I think he broke
like
a record.
66. He broke the record. 66 against the Lions.
Oh, that's right. The Lions. That's right. The Lions.
Poor Lions.
Game at the last minute. Speaking of the Lions, that's the next game I wanted to talk about. While we're talking about the Lions, let's talk about the Lions. The 8-1. They got a 1. That tie versus the Steelers was just ridiculous. We just mentioned the Steelers versus the Bears. I don't know if it could get much worse for the Steelers after Ben Roethlisberger got put on COVID. Mason Rudolph started. They just didn't get going. I mentioned Freiermuth earlier when we were talking off camera before we started recording. He fumbled the ball literally on the 30-yard line. That was
the game. Yeah.
Field goal range, and all he had to do was hold it and run out of bounds, and he fumbles. And, but they're going up against the Browns. The Browns, I don't know if you've heard. Have you heard anything on Chubb or any of the running backs? I haven't, personally. I haven't got any updates or anything. I don't know. But I
haven't heard too much yet.
I don't know, I don't know if they really need him because Dearness Johnson has been really good when he's gotten the opportunity the last few weeks, especially in fantasy football. He's been really good with all the injuries to running backs. And, even with Chubb and with some of those guys out, I think the Browns will obviously win this game. How do you feel? Do you think the Lions have any shot?
Yeah, I don't think the Lions do because I'm checking right now. It looks like Chubb is promoted to, it looks like questionable. He just got promoted to active. So I think he got his 2 negative tests, which if you're Detroit, horrible news for you.
Well, I guess, either way, okay, if Nick Chubb is back, then, I don't think they don't have any shot. That man's ridiculous. I remember when he first came into the league and it was just it was crazy because his brother got drafted the year before by the Broncos. And it was everybody was he was just that little brother. And now I feel like he's a little bit bigger now. And it's very crazy. So do you think while we're talking about the Lions, though, do you think they're going to go 0-17-1 or 0-16? Would that be 0-16-1?
Oh yeah, it would be. I wanted to give them more credit earlier on in the season because they were losing a lot of close games. They really impressed me against the Ravens. The Ravens just that
was the one game. Yeah, because I have Lamar in my fantasy in one of my leagues, and I thought versus the Lions he was going to put up bank numbers, and he
should
nothing. And and that was the thing. Especially it's I want the Lions to get the win though before Thanksgiving, don't you? Next week the Bears play them on Thanksgiving, man.
Ooh.
I don't want them to. I'm taking the Browns to win. I think they have a shot. But I kind of hope the Lions somehow. I said it in my week 10 recap and my week 11 preview on my YouTube channel about how I think the Lions hopefully do win because I don't want them to go in undefeated, winless versus the Bears. That's all they need is Thanksgiving promotion.
Oh yeah, I don't want to see that. So I hope they squeak it out. But Nick Chubb or no Nick Chubb, I think that Cleveland's just too talented. And Detroit's struggling too much.
Yeah, they're just But the only good guy they have is DeAndre Swift. Thank God for DeAndre Swift.
Pretty much, yeah. I can't really argue that. I guess. Quintez Cephas is okay, but
yeah.
But
we don't want to spend too much time on the Lions. Let's talk about a game that in the NFC North that hopefully should be somewhat more competitive. The Packers versus Lions. This is an NFC North matchup that, we've seen. Rodgers is obviously coming back from his COVID problem that he had and all the off issues that he's had. The Vikings. Did you hear about that thing that happened with Dalvin Cook?
No, what happened with Dalvin?
Apparently he got accused of and stuff like that. And that was something I haven't really heard anything about. And I was it just, have you heard anything else about that? Because I don't know. I just didn't, that was the one thing about when I saw this, I just haven't seen anything about it. And
So he's doubling down. I guess there was a domestic issue that's going on right now, domestic abuse, where his partner, I don't know if it's his wife or his girlfriend or they're engaged or what.
Gotcha. Okay.
She said that he beat her and then he doubled down and said no, she's been abusing him. So they're going at it right now. I think they're going to take it to court, but I think he's good to go for the game. He's just got some.
Good.
He's got some off the field issues going on right now. That's for sure.
Good. I just didn't know. I just remember hearing that. And then when I saw this, when I was making my picks and everything, I was just thinking, I was like, I didn't see anything and I haven't heard nothing. But
yeah,
in the game, though, who do you have? Like, what do you think this is going to be? What kind of game do you think this is going to be? You think A-Rod's just going to go out and ball out? You think the Vikings are going to have a shot? You think Kirk Cousins plays like he has been? Not that I think bad.
Yeah, I think that Kirk's going to get his first real test this year. He's got 18 touchdowns and 2 picks right now. So he's having like a career year on the stat sheet, right? But they don't look good as a team because that defense is horrible. I think A-Rod's going to get like 4 or 5 touchdowns, and Green Bay's secondary is ridiculous. So I think that Kirk's going to have some trouble today.
Well, and that's crazy, especially what they did with Russell. And, Russell's coming back with his finger injury and everything. But their defense the last few weeks has looked really good. And I'm like scared to face them now as a Bears fan. And just in general, teams in the NFC need to watch out because if Rodgers comes back healthy, and if Jones will be back, thank God his injury is not as serious as they thought it was. But AJ Dillon is going to go out and ball out these next 2 weeks, I'm sure. And I just think that they need to watch out because I think they have the first seed right now, and I don't know if anybody can touch them. And in the whole NFL in general is wide open, in my opinion. I feel like, especially on the AFC side.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Who do you have winning this game in the end? You think it's Packers? I'm taking the Packers. I hate saying that, but
I hate saying it too, man, but I'm taking the Packers. There's too much talent on that side. Devonte Adams was like nursing a shoulder injury, but he's questionable right now. It looks like he'll be good to go. There's too many weapons on that team, and I think that Minnesota's secondary is too shallow. And Green Bay's defense, like you said before, they just come off shutting out Seattle. I think they'll shut this team out or get close to it too. I don't think Kirk's going to get much going.
Yeah. Speaking of teams that might get going, this is a game I talked about that maybe should have been on Thursday night and that maybe, they could have. And it's a good matchup on the AFC side between two teams. The Colts, a team that is at 500 at 5-5, and the Bills, they're at 6-3. But I feel like, the Colts have been playing very well. And, they have Jonathan Taylor that is tied right now with NFL. I think is he tied still with Derrick Henry?
That's a dead tie. Yep.
He's dead tied with Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry hasn't played in 2 weeks. That's ridiculous. And, I just think this game's going to be a lot better than people think. I don't know which way it's going to go, especially if the Colts and Carson Wentz can play the way he's been lately and Jonathan Taylor runs the ball. How do you feel about this matchup and who do you have winning?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the upside here. I actually think the Carson Wentz has been on quite a bit of a roll. Michael Pittman's turning into a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL slowly.
Come from
absolutely nowhere.
that helps no one.
Yeah, I got him early. I got him in a late round, and nobody was really talking about him. But he was their number 1 wide receiver going into the year.
Well, and there was somebody. Do you remember T.Y. Hilton? That was somebody that was going to be he was great for a while, and he just kind of fell away. And here comes Pittman out of nowhere, and it was just crazy to see. I forgot what team they faced, but he got 2 or 3 touchdowns in that game, and it was just dang, him and Carson Wentz have a connection, kind of who am I thinking? Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford. I feel like they have the same type of connection. But I'm going to go the opposite side. I don't think Josh Allen is going to be able to be stopped. I think the Bills are going to win this. I think Josh Allen is going to go ball out. Hopefully, Stephon Diggs has a game that he had like he did last week. That was the best game of his season so far. I think that was his first touchdown, to be honest. I don't think he got a touchdown before that because I've had him all year in fantasy, and I know every week that they talk about it, and he was one of those guys. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but
he's had a tough year. I mean, he's been doing okay, but not what he did last year.
No, and he wasn't. I drafted him. I think I got him in the 2nd or 3rd round, and he definitely wasn't worth that. And that was the one thing. I feel like next year, with fantasy purposes, I feel like next year people need to really think about the wide receiver position because it's so deep that every team pretty much has 2 wide receivers that you could start. I mean, even we were talking about the Jets, Elijah Moore. Is it Elijah Moore? Yeah.
Elijah Moore. Yep.
Elijah Moore and Corey Davis. Those 2 are on the Jets, and they're still fantasy relevant to the point where we thought it's crazy to think about how many teams have these receivers now that just come out of nowhere. I don't know, but
it's a passing league too. Yeah.
Well, how many? I've never seen the quarterback position be this deep ever in my
Yeah,
life.
that too.
That's crazy. So yeah, I'm taking the Bills on that one. We'll have to go back to that. That's the first one we disagreed on. So let's see who wins. The next matchup in this one, we were talking about Derrick Henry a minute ago with the Titans at 8-2 versus the Texans at 1-8. This is a game, the Titans have absolutely no backfield. Like it's a three-headed monster with McNichols, Peterson, and is it Foreman?
I think so. Yeah, Foreman.
Is it Foreman? Yeah, I don't know. He took all the Adrian Peterson barely got in the game. Everybody was starting him, and then this guy comes out of nowhere. I'm done with the Titans backfield. But in regular, I don't think the Texans have any shot in this game. They've been really bad all season. They got the whole Deshaun Watson cloud over their head. They can't figure out a quarterback for the life of them. Tyrod Taylor's not been good. Davis Mills hasn't been good. I think this is going to be all Titans. How do you feel?
Yeah, it should be an easy one for the Titans. Don't trust the Titans backfield anymore. I mean, I haven't either. I mean, I think I grabbed McNichols in one of my leagues, and then he didn't get used, so people went after AP, and he doesn't get used, so now, it's a revolving door back there. But I don't think it matters. Vrabel has turned this into a pass-heavy offense, and when you have a guy like A.J. Brown, it doesn't matter.
And it's the Ryan Tannehill man has come a long way from being on the Dolphins and just not being anything, and just he's completely turned his career around. And I think the connection that he has with AJ Brown, and everybody forgets that Julio's on the team because he can't stay on the field, which is awful because it sucks that, as much as we all love Julio, I just think he needs to retire. Let's be yeah. So yeah, the Titans are going to win that hopefully, but watch, we're both going to say that, and the Texans are going to somehow win that. And
that's what happened with me when I said the Bills were going to beat the Jaguars, and then the Jaguars came out of nowhere and won 9-6.
9-6.
Weird game.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of a game that isn't that great, the Dolphins and the Jets.
Oh, Lord.
I put a puking emoji?
Yeah, right.
I don't know, man. This game, unless I don't know, even because we talk about Corey Davis and Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, maybe. I don't even know what is going to go on in this game. And this game is very least intriguing to me. I have the Dolphins defense in a fantasy league of mine, but I mean, other than that, I don't know. I think the Dolphins will win this, but I mean, the Jets, aren't they starting Joe Flacco?
I think it's Flacco. I know White just dropped 4 picks last week, and Wilson's still nursing an injury. So I would go with Flacco if I was them.
Well, yeah, and that was the thing. Everybody was starting Mike White he's going to be this big superstar because he went off.
People got to chill. Yeah.
Chill, brah.
1 or 2 good games.
It's just come on, man. It's just I think I don't want to spend too much time on this game because I feel like there's better games that we could spend time on. Like I said, I'm taking the Dolphins. Are you there with me, or you take?
Yeah. The Dolphins, one good fantasy target on their team, Mike Gesicki. I believe he's the third or fourth best tight end.
And he had 0 points last week. He was
a
huge disappointment. So it's time for him to bounce back.
Absolutely.
The next game, though, back to the NFC, the Saints versus the Eagles. The Saints are at 5-4 with Trevor Siemian. He was on the Broncos, man. How did the Saints go from having Drew Brees to Trevor Siemian?
Northwestern native.
Yeah. And the Eagles, man, Devonte Smith is finally coming along. I think it's because I dropped him in one of my fantasy leagues. I think I'm a curse to people.
That's probably it. No, I'm just kidding.
Dead ass, man. I'm serious. I think I was telling you yesterday when we were talking about how I ruined quarterbacks' careers. And I think I'm just doing the same thing because it's not okay. So, I mean, yeah. But I mean, in this game, the Saints and Eagles, I did see though that Kamara did not practice again today. So I don't think
he's going to be out.
And if he is out, Mark Ingram, he's a good start in fantasy purposes. And that's only he's going to get a lot of volume. And that Eagles defense is good. But I mean, I think a bunch of checkdowns and stuff will be. I mean, right? I think the Eagles defense is good, right? No,
they've been relatively decent. They had a rough start to the year, and they're starting to come around a bit. That offense has really been coming alive, though.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. With Devonte Smith, he's been ridiculous. Jalen Hurts seems to be getting better and better every single week, and he's putting up 20 plus fantasy points every single week. And he makes plays that I feel like some of these teams just don't like. It's crazy to watch these plays that he makes. And this is one where I don't know who's gonna win. Who do you think? Because I don't know.
Yeah, I'm riding the upset train here. I've got the Eagles. They've been coming alive, and they have one of the easier schedules for the remainder of the year. So I think Jalen Hurts is going to take care of this New Orleans defense. And, other than Marcus Lattimore, their their defense and their pass defense has not been that good lately. So I think Hurts will be able to attack them deep. And then they don't have a run game. I mean, Miles Sanders has been hurt here and there, and then they use, Gainwell as well. And then Boston Scott.
Gain nothing.
Gain nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Man, and then Boston Scott too. I mean, it's weird, but the passing game is great. So I'm going to go with Philadelphia here.
He gives me PTSD, man, when I think of Kenneth Gainwell. He costed me a week. The man literally got 2 points. I lost by 6
Yeah.
points. I was so mad. But I'm going to go with the Eagles too. Not that, the Saints are bad, but you made a lot of good points and you won me over with the Eagles. So I'm going to take the Eagles, and, I kind of hope they don't win, like as in like purposes as like a Bears fan, because I hope the Bears continue to try to make the playoffs somehow.
Yeah.
But I can't, I'm not going crazy. I don't want to be like one of those, So I'm going to take the Eagles. The next game, we are seeing the return of Super Cam and Ron Rivera in the Panthers versus Washington FT. This is one I did not think we were going to be talking about Cam Newton on the Panthers in 2021.
Crazy year.
It's crazy. We talked about it in the headlines. It's crazy, man. It's ridiculous that we're seeing the Panthers. I don't know, man. He looked really good last week. I think at one point he had 3 throws or three attempts, and he threw 2 touchdowns, or he threw 1 touchdown and he ran into for 1 touchdown. And that's crazy to think about. And the way Sam Darnold looked like he went back to New York and just changed it. I don't know. I think the Panthers could pull this one off, especially the way Washington FT has been playing. They played good versus the Buccaneers. Was it last week, right?
Last week.
I think they're going to be too high and mighty. And the way the Panthers defense has been playing, I don't know the exact numbers to be like off the top of my head, but they've been doing really, really well. And I think that they've held teams to under, I think it's like 20 points or something like that. I can't remember the exact stat, but who do you have in this game? Do you think Cam can do it?
Yeah.
Can lead them back to the Super Bowl?
Oh, no. No, I'll give them this game. I won't give them the Super Bowl, but
not the Super Bowl.
No, Washington just lost Chase Young for the season too, so that's going to be huge.
Awful injury, man. That's the thing with these injuries, man. It's just these big names this year is ridiculous. We've talked about Henry. It's crazy just to watch all these guys go down. We talked about the Saints, and Winston was having a good career, good season, a career. He was having a good season, and it's just awful to see these guys that I hate to see these injuries happen. It makes it no fun. You know what I mean? I want to see people
especially as a fantasy owner too. You got to start digging then. Yep.
I had to add 2 IR spots on each of my teams because it was awful. The next game, the 49ers put on an absolute show versus the Rams. After the Rams went out and got Von Miller from the trade deadline, they said, Rams, you could have Von Miller. We still don't need you. We got Deebo Samuel. They're going up against Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a game, I want to say that the Jaguars have a chance because I feel like that they've been playing a lot better and Trevor's definitely been doing better. But the way the Niners looked on Monday night versus the Rams was just kind of scary. And I think I saw it in one of your shows, and that what you do with one of your friends, that all of you guys picked the Rams.
All of us, every single person I knew picked the Rams for that game. And it did not go well because the Niners, they've got a better defense than people think. They're just always hurt. When they're healthy, the Niners are a solid team.
Well, and that was the thing. I think there was one season they had 28 guys on IR.
Yeah. And it all happened against the Jets in one game. It was just down the line. They lost everyone.
That's right. And I think that was the one Bosa got hurt in too, right?
Yeah, Bosa, Sherman, Garoppolo. Mostert's always out.
I forgot about him. I don't even know who's the starting running back right now. Is it Eli?
It was Elijah Mitchell, but now he's questionable. So
is it? I don't know. Hannigans. That's what I call it.
Right.
You remember when his dad was in the league and he would just bring in a running back and he'd come out of nowhere. Alfred Morris.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Alfred Morris. So yeah, I'm definitely taking the 49ers in this game. Are you there with me?
Yeah, I got to agree. Too many weapons. Deebo, no one's going to guard him. I think Deebo's just going to cut up this Jacksonville defense that has struggled all year.
Deebo Samuel cost me my week last week, man.
He's good.
He's a thing, and he's somebody I talked about it on my show too. He could be a number 1 wide receiver next year. Cooper Kupp, man. came out of nowhere, and this could be 1 year, but Cooper Kupp seems to getting better every season, and he's just been improving. And now he might win MVP because he's got touchdowns from who knows. It's crazy. And that's why, like we were talking about the wide receiver position. It's crazy to see all these guys come out of nowhere. But speaking of a receiver that came out of nowhere, and probably will win Rookie of the Year, Jamar Chase from the Bengals. This man is having a great season, and they're coming off of a bye now, going up against not the Ravens. I talked about the Ravens a minute ago. The Raiders and Derek Carr. How do you feel about this game? The Bengals are coming off their bye. Joe Burrow got a little bit of rest. Everybody's feeling good. Are the Bengals going to come out and show what they did the first 4 weeks? And are we going to see Jamar get a bunch of touchdowns and stuff? That would be great.
Yeah, I think that other than Max Crosby, the Raiders don't have a whole lot of consistency going on in defense, and they have a lot of distractions too. They lose Gruden a few weeks ago. Then the whole Henry Ruggs things happens, and now Derek Carr is not using Darren Waller at all. He's just strictly throwing to Hunter Renfrow. So
another guy, I drafted him, thought he was going to be good. I think it's me, bro.
It might be you, but I'm going to go with the Bengals. Yeah.
But yeah, so am I. I think that, the way Joe Burrow is playing, and I think, that has a lot to do with him getting Chase. But I think that just shows how much of if you have that one weapon that you can trust, how much the offense is able to work. Where it just seems, if you've noticed, the teams that don't have that number one that you can consistently rely on just is not very good. And we talk about the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes about how if he didn't have all those weapons, he just might be Mitch Trubisky on the Bears.
Honestly,
doesn't have anybody to throw to. And we've seen it this season with him just throwing interceptions left and right. And they're going up against, while we're talking about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, let's get to that game. It's probably the best game, Super Bowl. It's going to be the best Super Bowl ever. It's the Cowboys versus the Chiefs on America's Game of the Week. I think it's at 325.
Yep.
This game is the way Dak's been playing. It's been crazy. I think this game could be a 45-52 game. I hope it is because I love games like that. I don't know about you. Do you
for fantasy owners? Oh yeah. Yeah. As a fantasy owner, I love it. I got Tyreek Hill. Let's do it.
Tyreek, I don't know if I told you this, but somebody took Tyreek Hill number 1 overall in my league. I don't know about
that one. He's pretty inconsistent.
But it was one I was just like, that's crazy. So every time somebody says Tyreek Hill, I just gotta tell them that. But yeah, I don't know who's gonna win this game, especially the way the Chiefs played last week. They don't know if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is gonna come back yet. They said they might just give him an extra week because they do go on their bye week. And it kind of sucks that teams are going on their bye week during Thanksgiving because it's usually never happened. Because they added the extra week of the season. I think people seem to forget about that, but there are 18 weeks this season. So it's how do you feel about this? Do you think that CEH is going to come back? Do you think the Cowboys are going to do what they did last week? Which Cowboys team is going to show up? I mean, are we going to get the one versus the Broncos? Because that team looked like they were playing. That was awful.
Yeah, I would say for my thoughts on this game, I don't think CEH is going to come back because Darrell Williams had a very nice week last week. So I think they'll keep him in. Yeah, rest CEH a little bit more. But I'm going to go with Dallas here because they actually have a defense that's been doing their job consistently. Micah Parsons is, a candidate for Defensive Rookie of the Year for sure. So I'm going to go with Dallas here by a touchdown.
What do you think the final score is going to be?
I wouldn't doubt it if it's 52-45. Both of these offenses are crazy.
Well, that's the thing. I'm gonna go the other way, and I think the Chiefs are gonna continue to win. I personally don't like the Cowboys, but I just think that the Chiefs are coming the way that they've been playing. They look like the Chiefs that we're kind of used to. And I know that's weird to say because the way they've played the last few seasons isn't the way teams usually play. They made it look so easy. And I think that's why people are so shocked. Is because just how wild and how it you know what I mean? How they just the Buccaneers gave everybody the blueprint to figure out the Chiefs. You watch that game, you figure out how to beat the Chiefs.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Chiefs, but I just think the way that they've been playing is just it's crazy. So I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. But yeah, hopefully it's that high scoring because I need a bunch of fantasy points from there.
Same here, man. Yep.
Speaking there. The next game, we're going to go back to the NFC, the Cardinals versus the Seattle Seahawks. And Seattle's getting Russell back with the pin in his finger. I don't know if Chris Carson's is coming back yet. But on the other side, they ruled out DeAndre Hopkins for the Cardinals. And Kyler Murray, I heard, is questionable. And I think he's a game-time decision. Do you think if Colt McCoy starts, do you think this is the 12th man return? Are we going to go back to 2015? Is Seattle going to be able to pull out this win, or is Colt McCoy going to be able to do it again and bring them to 9-2?
Yeah, I don't think Colt McCoy has to do too much, but I think that even if Colt McCoy's in there or Kyler Murray, or I've made the joke in the past, they could put Nathan Peterman in there. It doesn't matter. I mean, Arizona's too good. Arizona's way too deep.
I forgot about him.
Yep, the GOAT. I think Arizona's too deep on defense. They've still got good weapons on offense. Christian Kirk is more than capable of being a wide receiver one for a day. Yeah. I think they'll be all right.
He did it last week. He put up really good numbers last week. I was facing him in one of my leagues, and I was just like, dang, like I should have got you.
He's a solid route runner.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely right there with you. I think that, not that Seattle's not been a good team, but the way they looked versus the Packers last week was awful. They didn't put up any points, and I could be completely wrong, but maybe Russell's finger isn't as healthy as, maybe you rush back because
he definitely rushed back. Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, they're sitting at 3-6 right now, where it's like, if they lose and like teams like the Bears and like other teams win, there's so many teams that are stacked from like 7 to like 15 in the NFC that a 4-6 team might be the 7th seed, especially with like the Falcons losing on Thursday and everything. And the way the Seahawks are playing, and I just don't think Russell's healthy enough. And like you said, you mentioned with Kirk, that defense is deadly. And, even with the loss of Watt and everything that happened, they've still been good and everything. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Cardinals on this one. They're going to stay at 9, and they're going to go to 9-2. And I'd rather see them get the first seed than the Packers, because let's not.
Agreed. Agreed.
I don't care. And those are all the ones for the noon and 3 o'clock games. That's the one thing I don't know how you feel about it, but I wish that they would like even out the games at noon and 3, because I feel like either there's too many on at noon and I'm like so like drained by 3 o'clock, and then there's the 3 o'clock games. Like, do you feel about that before we get to the Sunday night matchup?
Yeah. They throw like seems like 8 or 9 in at noon, and then 3 or 4 in at 3, and it's like, well, I'm burned. I'm used to going through all these different games. If they could do like 5 on each side, I feel like that would work a little bit better.
Especially in like, it's one of those things like too with like fantasy, where it's like all of a sudden you're feeling good after the noon games, but then your opponent has 3 o'clock games, and then it goes up, and it's just like, I just would love that even out. But now that we got through the noon games and the 3 o'clock games, let's go to the Sunday night game, because we got to talk about a guy in the name of Justin Herbert that I feel like has been one of the biggest, like, not even surprises. Like, I knew he was going to be good. I just didn't think he was going to be this good. And everything he's doing, like, Mike Williams has struggled since the first 4 weeks. They have Austin Eckler, that is a human joystick. Keenan Allen's ridiculous. Jared Cook came out of nowhere. He's just ridiculous, We talked about the Steelers. Other than Najee Harris, I don't feel like the Steelers have really good weapons. Deontay Johnson is, good, but like they don't have like the big names that they used to have. It's literally just a bunch of checkdowns to Najee. Like, who do you have in this game? Because I feel like you can kind of feel the way I'm going.
Yeah. I got the Chargers as well. I think that Justin Herbert, I watched his final season in Oregon, and I actually saw him whoop the Badgers in the Rose Bowl a couple of years ago. So I've known he's good for a while. Got a really good arm, good at getting out of the pocket, great pocket presence too, and that offensive line has been a lot better. Yeah, other than Najee Harris, Juju Smith-Schuster is out for the year. Claypool's in and out of the lineup. I guess that, what's his name? Freiermuth? He's been okay. Yeah, but him and Najee are the only ones there. Big Ben hasn't looked good, and I don't want to see Mason Rudolph touch a football again after that last game. So,
oh my God, the last tight end I think that was good for the Steelers was Heath Miller.
Yeah, Heath Miller was great.
He was the GOAT when we were growing up, man. He was the GOAT. I think the first year I did fantasy, I picked him up off the waiver wire just because I liked his name. But I'm going Chargers too. I think the Chargers, they've been really good, and they're only at 5-4. But after what the Steelers did, they should have beat the Lions. That was just ridiculous. There's no excuse that you have for not beating the Lions. So yeah, I'm taking the Chargers. Justin Herbert's going to go out and ball out. Now for the last game on the schedule for Week 11. Before we get to that, I did want to mention we did have 2 teams on a bye, the Broncos and the Rams. So everybody don't freak out. We're not forgetting about your teams. We're just off this week. Have a nice week. Get healthy. Cooper Kupp, I'm sure you're just going to score 50 more touchdowns.
Right.
Yay. So But now for the Monday night game, it's the New York Giants versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I don't know about you, but I want to mention, Tom Brady has Tom Brady. I think he's kind of scared of that logo. It might not be Eli Manning on the field no more, and it might not be guys. I forgot who the heck the guy was that caught the
Oh, David Tyree. Yep. And
David
then
Tyree.
Mario Manningham caught the
Yeah,
other one.
Mario Manning had that those two Super Bowls, man. I don't know. I just feel like something's like it's too good to be true right now, man. I don't know. I just feel like this is a game that could be like the biggest upset ever in the NFL. I mean, do you think the Giants can come out and do it? Do you think Daniel Jones can pull an Eli Manning?
I mean, if they stick to the same defensive scheme where they just bring a lot of pressure and then also drop and bluff a lot of pressure as well and really pressure Brady into trying and throwing down the field, that's what those old Giants teams did. They had Michael Strahan for one of those Super Bowls.
Michael Strahan, man.
Yeah.
Best.
It starts with the 4-man rush, and then you drop the other 7 and kind of just force Brady to make a play eventually into protected coverage. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I do think that they just don't have the talent on their team right now. They're too bruised on offense. I'm going to have to go with Tampa Bay, but I think it'll be close because the Giants are just his kryptonite, man. It's always a close game.
Well, that's the thing where I saw this matchup when I was putting out like my picks and everything. I was writing everything down, and I just thought it was funny. I was just like, great.
Here it is.
I was like, it might not be the Patriots and Giants no more, but it's still Tom Brady versus the Giants. So I just want to keep that in mind. We'll talk about it off camera, obviously, after all these games and everything. But maybe if it does happen, at least we could say that we talked about it here first.
He lost to Nick Foles last year. So you know what?
Nick Foles. Man, Nick Foles can't do nothing for the Bears. We thought we were going to get big dick Nick Foles, and we got nothing from him.
Yeah.
Bears just hopefully Justin Fields is the guy, man. But yeah, I'm gonna go the Buccaneers too. I think Tom Brady's gonna go off. He gets an extra day. He's feeling good. He's the GOAT. He's the best. Yada yada yada. I think the Buccaneers defense, they've been playing really bad lately. I think this is a game for them to get on the right track though. Because if they don't and they do struggle versus the Giants, this is something that they got to worry about, especially because they're not going to be facing teams like the Giants in the playoffs. They're going to be facing good teams, good offenses, good everything. And the defense was a big reason why I feel like they got to the Super Bowl. And we talked about it with Patrick Mahomes. That was the reason why they won. They just stopped the Patrick Mahomes. So yeah, I'm gonna go the Buccaneers. But like you said, this could be something. And like I said, it could be his kryptonite. We'll have to see. But I can't take a chance on Tom Brady and the GOAT. And
absolutely, we
just talked about 14 crazy games that are going to go on in the NFL. And, is there any predictions you have for week 11? Is there anything you could give me a bold prediction you got for week 11?
Okay. I will say AJ Dillon gets 3 touchdowns. I think that run game, man. They love their run game.
Last week. That was crazy. I hope he does because I have him in fantasy. That'd be
I picked him up. That was a good pickup this week.
That he was, yeah. And, and that's one of the things, if you haven't, go check out all Sports Now's videos on YouTube, all his picks, all of his fantasy stuff that he's got going, everything that he does.
Thank you, man.
Go check out my shows at Tino'sTime 1996 on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all the social medias. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Hopefully you enjoyed our entertainment and all of our picks. And hopefully we get them right because I think you didn't do too well in your picks last week, did you?
No, last week was a little better. I was 7-6 and I had a tie. Shout out to the Lions and the Steelers. But yeah, I've been better, so I got to recover this week too.
Yeah. And this is actually my first time doing a video like this, so hopefully it does do good, and maybe I'll start doing my own picks and I can keep a record because I always do the fantasy, and I'm more of like a fantasy guy, and I'm more of like numbers and everything. But picks are always fun too.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I hope everybody enjoys it. Go smash that like button. Go subscribe. Go like both of our channels. Go support us. Go do everything you do. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for Cory for joining me.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. I'm going to have to come on your show. We're going to have to do some more picks and talk some more fantasy, stuff like that. And again, until next week, when you see me on my week 11 recap, week 12 fantasy football show, do you have anything coming out next week you want to talk about for the people?
Yeah, for sure. I do weekly picks as well, and then occasionally I'll throw a different like Easter egg in there. I did a video on Zach Ertz when he got traded. I've done some other stuff that's been going on. I did a little like analysis on the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's basketball, but I do a lot of different sports. It is called All Sports now. So yeah, I do a lot of different things like that.
Go check it out, people. He's one of the best. So until next time, this is your boy Tino signing out.